What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stokastic coming to you with your look at the RBC Heritage for DraftKings Reignmakers. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Let's start off with this. DraftKings Reignmakers. If you haven't signed up for it, what is it? Well, we're combining NFTs with DFS. We're putting the two together. It is such a great combination. We are getting player cards. We are looking for the top golfers that we can possibly get on the board for the RBC Heritage. We're trying to combine them into lineups, and there are a lot of different ways to do it. But get your starter pack. You can sign up for that below. You're going to get 8 golfers, no matter what. Awesome golfers. You can pick your starter golfer too. May I recommend Jon Rahm or Scotty Scheffler because they're the two most expensive. They win everything, it would seem, these days. So definitely get in there. Oh, well, we're speaking of that. Why don't we start with a little refresher, not a refresher, a little recap of last week and a monumental mistake. But I don't know if I'm going to call it a mistake. Oh, also, there's great UFC stuff going this week. Check that out as well. Love the UFC streets for Reignmakers. But we're going to go to recent. Looks like it was a decent enough week. What, 265? Had a decent enough week. One pack. Again, you're able to use these cards the entire season. That is one of the huge benefits of having these players rather than DFS, where you're paying an entry fee. You have a salary structure. There's no salary structure here. We're looking for the best players possible. Now, this bankroll booster, as I said, you want to play those still. Even with your cards, you don't want to have dead cards, but I just didn't have anywhere to put some of these cards, so that's where they ended up. But let's go to this single entry lineup and recap Augusta National because I only know pain and sadness, and this is populating incorrectly. This data is right here, so don't look at that. Again, Hovland 1.4 captain. If I had known that, I definitely would have had him up there instead of Finau. It's a very slight difference in the two, but Jon Rahm was 12.4% in the captain, and I was like, I had a feeling he could be 15, 16, 6%. Beginning of the season, when everybody got their initial starter pack, he was the guy you wanted. He was coming off of multiple wins early in the season. Then Scotty Scheffler ran with it. And if you jumped in late, you probably got Scotty Scheffler cards. Also a good thing to have. But I ended up rocking with this where I switched out Rahm from the captain spot down, put him into the utility, and I played Tony Finau, the captain. If I had just played Jon Rahm, the captain, I would have won $1,500. That would have been fun. But alas, these are the things you have to do. You have to talk about game theory. You have to talk about how many people actually have these cards. You want to be paying attention to what the draft percentage is, how many people actually have these cards. Again, this data is populating a little bit off, but they do in the Discord for Reignmakers have a great section. But no matter the sport, if it's NFL, PGA, Tour, and then UFC, you're able to see exactly what people ended up doing in terms of the ownership. So go look at some of those recaps. They have the links for every single tournament there. But, I mean, this is just going to be painful forever. 168.75 as opposed to my lineup, where, huge difference. 75-point difference. I lost by what? 433.25. This would drop by 30. 45. Yep, would have won. You can see -3, -6, -4, even. This person had a +5 Jason Day in the middle. All right, that's enough recapping because I want to talk about happy things like a new tournament. What are we going to do with this video? I want to talk you through some of the best values that exist for the RBC Heritage. It's an elevated event this year, which means you're seeing the best players in the world. We got Rory withdrawing, so kind of sucks if you have a Rory card right from the get-go. Maybe you run into some other withdrawals. We have Will Zalatoris now out for the year. Those are two gigantic cards. Top 20 players, top 10 players in the world that are now, one's unavailable for this week, one's unavailable for the rest of the year after back surgery, being Will Zalatoris. So just wanted to talk about that from the get-go, from the onset. I'm going to talk you through how I'm going to build out my single entry lineup. I always find that to be very fascinating. And I think this week is exponentially more interesting. And then we'll build out a core lineup to finish it up. But first, I have a little bit of a treat. We're going to the marketplace. I did not get the approach packs last week, but I just got in the drop for the approach packs today. They dropped at 2 p.m. Pacific time. I got them. I am happy to announce that I got both of those two, and we're going to open them live together right now. You ready? I'm ready. Again, $24.99 for these two beautiful flop shot packs. Click. Here we go. Scottsdale. I don't know. All right. So we have the stereotypical, again, rare. There's no elite cards that can be gotten here, but we're going to go down the line and talk about what we get here. Tyler Duncan, he's playing golf this week. Michael Thompson, also a golfer who exists in the world. Keith Mitchell, number 2. That's a good one. We like that. Click. Wesley Bryan, we don't like that. Although South Carolina, if there was ever a time for Wesley Bryan to work out, it's this week. But the big one, Wyndham Clark. All right. That's okay. Wyndham Clark's a nice individual. We got one more pack to open. Hopefully this one can pay better dividends than the last one. We go to open pack. We're going to hit skip for time's sake. Starting off in the bottom right corner, Dylan Fratelli. Kevin Streelman, another short knocker. There we go. Keith Mitchell in the exact same spot that we just got him. All right. So Keith Mitchell, somebody that I like from a ball striking perspective that's going to fit nicely for this golf course. All right. 2 more to go. One-time dealer. That's not it. And now the biggie. Hang on. Can I do this? If I can click and hide it. Taylor Moore. Oh, people like Taylor Moore. That should be an okay one. Number 41, not a terrible serial number. Plus, some of the weaker events, I think he could come in handy. So, not the best packs that I've ever seen in my entire life, but definitely serviceable. We're going to be able to utilize that. This Keith Mitchell, number 2, that is a really good grab, I will say. Nice to be able to always look and see, $5. That cuts into it a little bit. But the number 2 serial number, number 19 is listed at 25. That's not going anywhere. Could probably list this one for $24, $25, the cost of the pack. Pretty close to having a chance to get sold at that kind of a number. But let's dive into the fun stuff. Reignmakers, get your free pack. Sign up here on the main page. You go to the Reignmakers tab at the top. And then if you want to look at the contests, which we talk about every single day on this program, well, every single week on this program, should I say, I only cover the PGA Tour on my Tuesdays for Reignmakers here. So you can catch this video every single Tuesday. Good stuff. Could go to the starter pack only. You could use those starter cards for that, of course, but bankroll booster, I've talked through that as well. You want to make sure that you don't ever have cards just sitting by the wayside. If you can fill out a lineup with your remaining cards, give yourself at least a chance to get $20, build towards that bankroll. Doesn't matter what your bankroll is. You still, $20 is $20 for stuff that would otherwise be unutilized. So try to utilize it. To the single entry build we go. And the reason I like to build for this one is that it gives you an idea of what my main team is going to look like. Now, different than DFS, we have an opportunity to truly play whoever we want. So if you go to show my cards at the top, there's that. You can unclick it and you run into Rahm. I have no Scheffler currently at the moment. Sold it before the Masters. Probably could have used that one instead of Tony Finau. Patrick Cantlay sitting there. Xander Schauffele. Again, I'm going to be building with some elite players, but I'm also going to give you a glimpse at some cheaper cards that I think make some sense. And starting with my captain spot, I'm actually going to be playing Colin Morikawa here in this captain place. I do expect Jon Rahm and Scotty Scheffler, 2 guys who have a phenomenal chance. And we have free projections available for you if you have a Stokastic membership. I guess it's not free because it's through Stokastic, but we have the Reignmakers projections that you can check out on the direct page. And top player probabilities, Jon Rahm, 9.8%, Scotty Scheffler, 9.4%. Again, people have to own these cards, but they're starting to have more and more. And the same thing that applied, if I was going to skip out on Jon Rahm last week and miss out on a W, miss out on the win in the single entry for 1.5K, I'm going to stay true to my method, which is I'll take Colin Morikawa at 3% or 2% captain ownership, as opposed to Jon Rahm, who I expect to be north of 12%, 15%, once again up there. If you have Rahm and you have Scheffler and you want to just click on them and think about the rest, if you're going to be contrarian in other spots, go right ahead. If I'm going to get different in other spots, I'm happy to go Rahm. And then, if I want to play one of my lower own, Wyndham Clark, that's actually a pretty good pull. 28.88 for a low. I was underselling that one a little bit for the people. But Justin Thomas, I think enough people have him. I love Tom Hoagie this week. We will talk about him. These are still a little high. I think these are going to come down. And this is kind of the wait and see approach. There's a lot of game theory within Reignmakers where you want to make sure you don't just snag the low ball, the low price just because it's there. I think there's a chance that we'll see Hoagie come down and we'll see some of the other top players come up. So I'm actually going to wait on my guy Tom Hoge, who actually in strokes gained approach is first amongst this entire field, just throwing it out there. But I said I'm going to do it. And my wife grew up 2 blocks away from Colin Morikawa, where he's at in La Cañada, Flint Ridge, California. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Colin Morikawa going to be the poster child for everything that I do, DFS and Rainmakers on DraftKings this week. I'm going to click Rum and have him next to it because you might as well just use your starter card and have the freebie sitting there in a contest that, again, last week didn't have that many entrants compared to the major 5K up top. And if you want to put your best lineup there, go for that 5K, have at. But I really like putting my best cards, my best foot forward, my best lineup into the single entry. I think over the course of a long period of time, that's going to bear over a better ROI. And I will go to the 5K contest and I will have a spot or two be contrarian because everybody, there's in any contest, somebody is going to buy the best lineup. I know that sucks to hear to a certain extent, but somebody is going to go out and buy Scheffler, buy Rahm, buy Hovland at the top, by Homa, by Cantlay, by Xander. It's just what is going to happen. So how can I get different in one spot or 2 spots? And Tony Finau makes a lot of sense. Homa, I'm completely off this week. So congratulations on his, 2nd win of the year? Nearly 3rd win of the year because he almost won at Riv. John Rahm got that one too. Victor Hovland, I'm going right back to the well with. No doubt about it. Has to be done. I love the ball striking pedigree on smaller greens. And there's one tiny bit of correlation I'm looking at for this golf course that I don't think many people have. A lot of people look at Hilton Head being a golf course with small greens, Bermuda style, coastal track, and they look to the Wyndham because there seems to be a correlation between those 2 tournaments. But there are players like Victor Hovland who have played well at Pebble Beach, where they have the smallest greens on the entire PGA Tour. And I think that there might be a little bit of correlation between that and this. Just like this event, though, Pebble Beach doesn't garner the best fields. And now this one went from not garnering the best fields other than Jordan Spieth, who won last year, Webb Simpson, multiple-time winner. Now you're looking at the elite field because this is an elevated event. So we're able to play everybody at our disposal. I think Victor Hovland, he's primed. He's primed in terms of ball striking. Love what we saw from the putter at Augusta, even though we don't have that strokes gain data. So I can't obviously talk too much to what we saw there with the putter. But amongst strokes gained in terms of what people are able to see, strokes per green, he was the lowest number. I don't know. Again, we don't have the distance parameters. But coming off a 10th, a 3rd, and a 7th at the Arnold Palmer, the Players, and the Masters, those are big boy golf tournaments. Big boy golf tournaments. So Victor Hovland definitely going to be a click for me into this single entry build. Talked about how to get different. I think Cam Young is a great selection to kind of correlate. We're looking iron player, everything player, iron player. Also great driver of the golf ball. Decent enough driver of the golf ball. But really looking at iron play. And this is where I was having a tough time figuring out what I wanted to do with him in my single entry lineup for DraftKings on DFS. But I think I'm absolutely going to play him in my single entry this week. I think this is a great golf course. When you talk about Hilton Head, it's not very long. You're looking at a lot of tactician-based decisions. And I think Tom Kim is kind of that guy who plots the ball around, is never going to impress you in terms of driving distance, but knows how to play smart golf and knows how to go low and knows when he gets it going, it's going to be really, really fun. And we haven't seen him emerge in any of these strong fields yet. Not a single one have we seen Tom Kim get into the mix. And I think that's a little bit of a surprise coming off of the President's Cup, where he was kind of the star feature for the international team. But I like seeing 16th at the Masters. That's the best result we've seen in quite some time. I like seeing that he hasn't missed a cut over the course of this run of golf as well, since missing it at the Sony Open. But 5th at the Century, 6th at the American Express, and then 5 more consecutive made cuts there. So 6 straight for him after that missed cut at the Sony at the beginning of the year. That was a long time ago. It was a very long time ago. But Tom Kim, I think he's going to sneak into my main build here and wanted to be able to feature him. And last spot, there are great opportunities. Justin Thomas, Tyrrell Hatton. But I'm going to be going to this young man. I like Sahith Theegala. Really hard to get away from a player who has 6 top 10s on the PGA Tour now. Coming off of a rookie season that was just, it was awesome. There were bright spots. He's just found a way to be competitive every single week, it would seem, outside of the Players where he finished 74th. So not every single week, it would seem there, but he at least made the cut. Ninth at the Masters, 14th at the Arnold Palmer, 6th at the Genesis, 39th at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, 4th at the Farmers. Then you're going back to the Fall Swing, 2nd RSM Classic, which I think there's some correlation in terms of the Bermuda and everything else that you're looking at here. I think he's a great selection for your single entry. Not telling you to do exactly what I do. I think that there's a case to be made for playing Finau. Tyrrell Hatton, if he's going to be healthy, this golf course is one that he has definitely shown some form on in the past. My dude Keith Mitchell, who we just got 2 cards of. Now I don't have to buy those ones. I got those nicely done. We're going to put a bow on this one. We're going to hit submit. I think that's going to be a really solid single entry lineup. If I make any tweaks to it, like last week when I did this and I moved Rahm over there and put Finau there and cost myself $1,500, we will do that. Great stuff. Oh, Eric, hit that like button, everybody. As we jump to the last build that we're going to do, we're going to go to the core contest here and build out draft. We're going to build out this lovely little contest. The core guaranteed. I talked about it before. I was kind of saving him here, but Victor Hovland would make a great captain. I think Cantley, Schauffele, I mean, this is just a studly team. You could go click, 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 click. That looks fantastic. But for this one, we're going to start with Cantley. I'm going to play Finau. Not that, it's a bomber. I'm going to go JT for this one too. But I want to give you 2 deep flyers. I have 2 guys kind of penned and circled based on the lowest available number. We're going to type in the first one, JT Poston. I have a couple editions of him already. Kind of surprised to see him up to $4.99 now. I talked about him a little bit earlier with Greg Ehrenberg on the Reignmakers live show. You should check that out every single Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, 10:30 p.m. Pacific. It's great stuff. We talked through every single iteration. JT Poston was sitting a little bit cheaper than this, but I was even surprised to see him around $5. But 3 top 10s at this event over the course of his career. And I get it. This field is much, much stronger, but it would seem as though that's a really good piece to be throwing in, considering his insanely good iron play from time to time. I think he makes a great target. So there you go. JT Poston, get hot with the putter, young man. That would be awesome. We're going to scroll through a couple of them. Brandon Wu is going to be somebody that I'm going to mix into lineups just because I tend to have him. That's why it's show my cards at the top, and I have him. That's what it means. I have them. Emiliano Grillo, I'll probably won't be utilizing him in anything major in the rare contest. But as we go down a little bit further here, Garrick Hago, somebody that I've highlighted before in the past, just to improve form. But with how much better this field is, there's one guy that I just think needs to be reiterated. Corey Connors had a terrible Masters, just abysmal, terrible, terrible time. But now you're sitting there, $9, might seem like an overpay, but something tells me people won't be moving heaven and earth to be utilizing him in the marketplace. So I think he might come in as an underutilized player, especially in like a captain scenario. I think that he might be a very interesting player to try to mix it up and put in there. But on the cheap end, the last guy that I was going to highlight, and let's go to a couple of them that I don't have. Let's buy it to kind of round out my lineup. No Jason Day here either. It's a bummer if you had that card. I now have my Keith Mitchell. I could just click on that and save ourselves all some time here. But Adam Hadwin, I didn't bring him up on the previous show, but I feel really good about Adam Hadwin on this style of golf course. Again, tacticianer, shorter hitter, emphasis on putting and chipping, even ever so slightly. But I think that he's probably going to be a piece that people won't utilize around other strong players. And if he can be that difference maker, if he can be that one guy who slips through the cracks finishing top 10 and eliminates one of the other studs. I mean, we have 3 thoroughbreds. I'm going to click on Hovland as though, there you go. Those are 4 thoroughbreds, even though Justin Thomas can't putt to save his entire eternity. I think just finding a way to do something that nobody else in the entire field is going to do when you have currently 10,000 entries already in it. Find that flyer. And I think Adam Hadwin is somebody who's very, very live to be competitive. Look at that. 4 Adam Svensons. What am I doing with my life? Whatever. We're going to another Canadian here. Yeah, both of them sitting right next to each other. 194. That's a pretty good serial number. We're going to buy and we're going to add this to the mix. And you know what? I don't think I'm going to touch this lineup. I'm going to be exchanging out cards, trying other things, but I want you to kind of see how I've kind of built this. This doesn't really have skill set correlation. I might do some tee time stacks as well with some of my lineups. Friday looks like it's going to be wet, rainy, just like Saturday was at Augusta. So be ready. But with 10,000 golfers in the field, if this can be my one difference maker, I get it. Totally makes sense. He's not going to pop in anybody's projections, not at Stokastic, not in anybody else's place. It's just not going to be a thing. So I think that that is a golfer that makes a lot of sense. We're going to submit that lineup, and we got a pretty live one, I think, to win 5K. Just with that one contrarian piece, everybody else has to play well too, and you're going to need to probably get the winner up here. Seems like it's always the best player in the field lately, outside of Kurt Kitayama. Pretty wild that he ended up winning the Arnold Palmer. But friends, that does it for another edition of DraftKings Reignmakers, talking you through everything that I have to for the Hilton Head RBC Heritage. Very excited for it. Go get yourself a plaid jacket, Patrick Cantley or Colin Morikawa, preferably Colin Morikawa, because I'm going to have tons of him everywhere. So looking forward to it. Hit that like button, subscribe button as we get out of here. And don't forget, check out your starter pack. Make sure you're checking out prices. Do some cross-referencing with DraftKings Sportsbook. Make sure that, you got some live guys who can go out and top 10 for you. Go out and win a golf tournament for you. It's going to be a lot of fun. Until next time, until next week, where it's really going to get wild, non-elevated event, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in South Carolina this weekend.